We got the government shutdown. We got global trade wars. Silver, gold, all-time high. There's power in a single ounce of anything, and in particular, silver. Let's talk about this. All right, so I want to take a minute to share my thoughts in reference to this current trade war, government shutdown, and the emergence of gold and silver as true, tried, and tested sound money in the midst of all this. And so, literally, as I was thinking about, how to frame this, the simple truth is to hedge against this trade war, whether it's China or the U.S., because that's the narrative they're giving us, by holding something physical. And of course, the most undervalued to this day at this current moment is still silver. And then with this government shutdown, we're 15 days in from this Republican-led administration blaming the Democrats. Once again, left-right paradigm, two wings of the same bird head in the same direction. And so it's important to bet against this current government paradigm because they're just blowing hot air up the wazoo of the American people and the world. And the best way to hedge against trade and bet against the government is gold, silver, and then more importantly, silver. So I want to share my 2 cents on that and lay out a good case as to why you should have been possessing silver and gold of any kind, because we are literally in the midst of a reset and there's going to be a lot of narrative, a lot of excuses, a lot of name calling, pointing, a lot of blaming, all this stuff. But at the end of the day, your hedge and your protection from a financial monetary standpoint is sound money. And so I want to jump right into it. So as of right now, we have gold and silver continuing to climb. And so early morning activity, 53.61 for silver. We are once again at an all-time high denominated in Federal Reserve notes. So if this is the enemy and if this is the solution, then it's no brainer who already won. The holders of silver, and in particular, are the winners of this global local fiasco that we're witnessing. So real quick here, let's just zoom in, or rather zoom out, and get a much different perspective as to where gold and silver has gone and where it's come from. And silver is the primary topic because it is the most important metal of all time. And so as you see on this chart right here, right above my head, we are well past any, not even adjusted for inflation yet, because every single Federal Reserve note in existence must be accounted for, because it's quite simple that when you have a government that lives on debt the way that ours do, then every dollar that has been created, every future promise to pay, and in particular 37 trillion plus 140 something unfunded liabilities will be accounted for. So the real value of gold and silver, no one knows. But one thing we do know, between a narrative of trade war and government shutdown, it's going to be the holders of these metals that will be better off than sitting around doing nothing, listening to the rhetoric coming out of this administration and the hope and the hype surrounding the digital asset space, as if that really will be the end and be all of everything, when we got every single government and nation basically being exposed. Every fiat currency is being exposed right now for what it really is, which is a IOU, nothing, that is a broken promise that's failing right now. So fiat failure will they basically benefit the holders of silver. And so what makes this particular round important is because it's a silver eagle, coined by the United States Mint, the true authority figure that was supposed to be an overseer and issuer of the United States currency. And since the Federal Reserve creation, this instrument here has become the linchpin, or the pin that has destroyed the entire fiat game, because once we lost the gold and silver peg for that temporary gold window closure 50 something years ago, here we are now coming to the end of the fiat Ponzi scheme, and we're going to have all types of excuses. We haven't even begun to see the type of excuses that this administration will throw at us, and name calling and finger pointing, and as well as distractions in general, to divert our attention off of the most undervalued monetary medium in human history. As I mentioned before, we're in a reset. Things are going to get a lot more interesting, to say the least. But one thing is for sure, no matter who comes out on top in this government shutdown, whether it's the left or the right, no matter what, it's all an argument over how much more currency to create to pay off previous bills and future bills. Therein lies the problem right there. More of these things for our own issues is what their solution will be. And then on the international front, we got a trade war. And just to give it to you straight, here's an interesting article that kind of sums it up. But if you look at it from a different perspective, you'll get a different viewpoint. Here is from the Independent. It says, is China winning the trade war with the US? And so once again, this trade war is simply Donald Trump or this administration trying to reassert US supremacy in controlling the outcome of other nations, saying that what you've been doing to us by sending us these goods and trying to tax us more or reap the benefits of our American capitalist society, as they would like to say, in exchange for you dialing back on accepting our treasuries as a reserve status is an issue. And so China's cutting off their supplies of fiat currency. And the best way to do it is the world is running from US liabilities. And so here is an interesting chart here that tells the entire story. And so this is something that you won't see plastered on Fox News or CNBC because they don't want you to see this type of activity. But foreign central banks have been racing to gold at a historical level while dumping U.S. liabilities, or as it says here, U.S. Treasury. So as I zoom in here, you can see exactly what I'm referring to. Here in green is the treasuries. Here in gold color is the actual possession of gold. And so literally since the decoupling that took place, as you see here, let me go back, since 1995-ish is when this area here happened to went the opposite direction. And since then, the world was racing to liabilities, US treasuries. And then literally as a result of 2015, for the most part, that was probably the QE2 time frame, all the way through, nations have been making taking an alternative approach. And so as gold has gone up, treasury holdings have come down to the point where now this is what we're looking at. 24% of central banks are holding more gold than they are treasuries, because 23% of treasuries is a steady decline that is exposing the narrative to where not only are nations as well as China leading this gold and silver push and price surge, but also you have central banks and governments also making hard choices, de-risking their exposure to counterparty risk when it comes to U.S. liabilities, aka treasuries. And so with gold and silver continuing to climb, treasury usage as well as savings will continue to go down. So therefore, the holders of U.S. liabilities in the end will be the losers. But then again, the holders of true, tried and tested global anchors of security financially and with minimum to none when it comes to counterparty risk in your physical hand will be the winner. And so once again, this is just an emergency update for those who haven't been paying attention. And when you see gold and silver continue to climb like it is right now, that's more of a sign to bet against the government and hedge against this trade war, because the only winners will be those that actually understand what's going on and hold something true, tried and tested. Those who are not paying attention and those who solely base their lives on paper and digits will be the victims in the end. And I'm going to stick to that story. But once again, if you found value here, this short little take here, highlighting some main things we're paying attention to, this is the true debasement trade. This is the global redemption trade is what it's called. Redeeming these for this is going to get ugly. Get you some. And as always, for those who are plugged in, the best thing to do is to get involved directly. And that's why mysilverteam.com, links in the description, will allow you to get involved, becoming a silver distributor yourself, where you can buy from yourself and help others buy and be rewarded for your efforts. So it has never been more important to get involved actively in the silver industry by becoming your own distributor. And that is all I got to say. Curious to hear what you guys think. If you found value, hit that thumbs up. If you're new, subscribe. Take this share, give your family and friends an alternative perspective as to what's going on. Check the description for all the resources you need to bet and to hedge against this global fiasco.